This is a piece of life advice from a billionaire investor that turned me from this into this. The advice is pick a simple idea and take it seriously. Johnny, my business partner, is the living example of this. And I'm going to unpack this lesson with some wisdom from the man himself because genuinely, no hype, I think this advice could make you 7 figures or more. First, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. You've seen the mathematics of compound interest. You don't need convincing on this. There's the classic, do you want £1 million today or do you want 1p today, 2p tomorrow, 4p the next day, 8p, 16p? And if you play out that example, you end up with way more money in the compounding scenario. There's the Wright brothers who took the simple idea of we want to get a man and put him in the air. And look what they achieved. There's Edison and the light bulb. There's Henry Ford. There's Bezos. There's all these kind of examples of people who took a simple idea and took it seriously. Deep down, you know that you're capable of so much if you just pick a path and execute on it. But we all know that that's not really the problem. The problem is all of the distractions that are thrown in our way. If you look back on anything that you've been successful in your life, it's probably because you sat down and you just did the basics for a long time. You know this, you're a fitness coach. The problem is how to do that and how to get rid of the distractions. You can do anything, but you can't do everything. And that's certainly been a tough pill for me to swallow. But how do we do that in practice? Step 1 is accepting that distraction is everywhere, and there's infinite number of things that you could be doing in the 21st century, particularly if you're self-employed. The world is full of shiny objects distracting us and little imps that are trying to steal our attention. So the first question to answer is, what do I want? And then the painful bit is opening up your calendar and looking at your day, looking at your week, and being like, does the time that I'm spending throughout my day and throughout my week reflect what I want? And usually it doesn't. So in practice with the online coaches that we help, most of the time, the reason that you're not making more money as an online coach is that you have a lead flow problem. But most coaches spend 90% of their time fiddling with their coaching app, playing with their wobbly sausage, adjusting their logo, their website, and basically all of the non-needle moving stuff. So there's no wonder that they haven't got any more clients, but it's very easy for your calendar and for your goal to become misaligned because of things like fear of failure. It's very easy to sit and work on the safe stuff that you can't fail at. You can't fail at playing with your wobbly sausage, but you can fail at getting leads. That one thing of making sure that your calendar and your goals don't slowly stray from each other is a really slippery trap. So you have to have a weekly process just to check, does my week reflect my goals? Lesson number 2 is to accept that this is going to be hard. I'm just trying to see how many wobbly sausage references I can fit into this video, but the world is designed to distract you right down to the operating system. And this is where I'm going to get conspiratorial with you, that look at the user interface of your phone or your laptop. There's browser tabs, there's multiple windows, there's social media, there's notifications with a little red circle, there's to-do lists of things that you need to do. There's the way that email is designed. Like, operating systems are designed for multitasking. They're not designed for single tasking and deep focus. So you're already fucked. The problem is that technology is capable of parallel processing, but the human brain isn't. It just thinks that it can. So we have to resist the way that the user interface in the world is designed to try and keep us distracted and do what feels a bit unnatural of sitting down and just doing one thing at a time. It feels slow. Johnny and I are naturally chaotic and scatty, and we want to try and do loads of things at once. We think that we can do it all, and that a new opportunity comes along and we go, yeah, just put it on my massive plate, like it'll be fine, as if the laws of time and space don't apply to us. Oliver Burkeman actually captures that particular lesson perfectly, so have a look at our video here about time, the cruel mistress, if that particular lesson resonated with you. The key thing here is that our brains feel like multitasking is more productive because when we're switching between apps really quickly, it feels like time moves really fast and we feel like we're the guy in Limitless, when actually we're just farting around not really achieving anything. The solution is full screen, a single app window, and do one thing at a time, use time boxes, and that's all you're doing right now. That's the point of your existence right now, is to do that one task until it's complete. Have a look at our productivity series for how to implement this in practice. You will feel the little dopamine demons being like, just check email, or just have a little look at that. Ignore it, shut them out. So we've talked about distraction and your environment, and we've talked about focus. The next thing comes from an ancient adage from a wise old philosopher called Dr. Yusuf Smith, who said, know what reps to do and do the reps. If you've seen my video on how to learn anything, that's basically the crux of it. But once you know what reps you're doing, then you have conviction in the process and you can execute without feeling like you're driving with the brakes on, because you know that the plan that you're currently following is going to get you to your goal. If you have a shred of doubt that the plan that you're following isn't going to get you to your goal, then of course you're not going to give it the beans. Dale los frijoles.
Dale los frijoles.
So in practice, the way to separate planning from execution and be able to just put the blinkers on and fully execute what you're doing with conviction is to plan your life in mesocycles, the same way that you would with training. I prefer 12 weeks, so a quarter, because you can line it up with business and personal goals, and 12 weeks is enough time to make some significant progress in the different domains of your life. The framework that we use is body, being, balance, and business, so that you can split your life into those 4 domains and make sure that you're remaining a balanced person and not becoming a one-dimensional douchebag, as Paul Mort would say. The other huge benefit of splitting your life into quarterly mesocycles is that it gives you enough time to reap the rewards of your efforts and stops you from tinkering with the plan midway through. Whenever you put in some effort into anything, you'll know that there's a delay between the action and the beneficial result. It's too easy for our brains to get into short-term mode, and 2 weeks into a training plan, we're like, oh, this is rubbish. I've been doing this wobbly sausage for 2 weeks and my forearms aren't massive yet. So this forces us to pick a plan, put the blinkers on, execute, and then review at the 12-week point. Then at the end of the 12 weeks, assuming you didn't meddle with the plan, you've got some data on what's worked and what didn't. And usually to make sure that we're doing the right reps and to get the conviction that what the plan we're following is going to get us to our goals, we always have a coach in the different domains of our life because it just accelerates the process. It gives us accountability, structure, somebody to tell us that we're a twat if we're not following the plan, and it fast tracks the process because then we're benefiting from 10 years of someone's experience rather than trying to figure it out ourselves. Paying for coaching or mentoring is genuinely one of the biggest life hacks I've ever experienced. It's the closest thing to buying time in a jar. So speaking of wobbly sausage, I'm going to let the handsome devil himself, the blonde bomber, conclude this video.
You decide what you do, what you don't do, what you pay attention to, what things you add in, what things you take away. And you could easily spend months, years doing things that don't really do anything, don't really like make a change to anything in the business, but they kind of feel productive, and that's what's so insidious about them. Like growing an Instagram following, like most social media, in fact, is kind of designed to keep you in this game where you chase engagement and comments and likes and followers and all that sort of stuff. It's very easy to forget under the surface. The reason I began doing this in the first place was to generate an income. What is my income? And that you realize those two things are very detached. So if you can find a thing that works and you can kind of like lock that in place, you're like, right, I know when I do that, I get leads coming in. And I know when I get leads coming in, I make this many sales. You're like, right, shut all of the windows, lock all the doors, put me in this room with just a laptop. I'm just going to do that. It's just really the only chance you have, I think, of making something like this work. And what that ends up looking like is something that's very simple, like email marketing, for example. Very simple. Writing text-based emails to people regularly. That's it. But mastering that skill, having that as good as it can be, being as consistent as that, with that as possible, is actually really difficult to do. So it actually needs to be taken seriously, but it's easy to overlook or ignore, or think you're better than it, or think it doesn't work, or think like, oh, email's dead, I'll do TikTok instead. So I think that's where it comes from.
So take a simple idea and take it seriously. If any of the stuff in this video has resonated with you and you want to work with us more closely to put any of this into action, just click on the link below, have a chat with us, no obligation, and we can discuss your situation.